Hi everyone. Welcome to English Story School. Have you ever felt that sudden rush of panic when faced with something unfamiliar? That pit in your stomach, the racing heartbeat, the thoughts spiraling out of control? Was fear really? Part 1. The unknown territory. Fear. We all know it, don't we? It's that feeling that crawls under your skin when you stand at the edge of something unknown, the whisper in your ear that holds you back from what you truly want. It can freeze you in your place, or, for some, it can push you to break barriers. But here's the thing. What if I told you that fear, this powerful force we all try to avoid, is not the enemy we think it is? Fear is often painted as the villain in the story of our lives. It's the dark cloud that looms over us when we dream too big, the invisible force that tries to hold us back from achieving our potential. We've all experienced it. The moments where we feel paralyzed, our breath shallow, our hearts racing as we stand before the unknown. But what if I told you that this very feeling of fear could be the thing that takes you to places you never imagined? Picture this. A young man named Mark, on the verge of his first public speaking event, his palms drenched in sweat, his mind spinning in a whirlwind of what-ifs. The anxiety gnawed at him as he walked onto the stage, the lights blinding his eyes, the audience's gaze like an ocean, ready to drown him in judgment. What if I mess up? What if I embarrass myself? His heart was pounding like a drum, and his thoughts were racing faster than he could control. But then, something remarkable happened. In that moment, Mark realized something profound. Fear wasn't the enemy. It was his ticket to something greater. With every breath he took, with every shaky word he spoke, Mark realized that the fear he was feeling wasn't here to punish him. It was here to push him. It was the very thing that made him feel alive. Fear was not the brick wall he thought it was. It was the door that led him to his next level of greatness. And in that exact moment, Mark decided to step through the door. What if fear, instead of being the thing that stops us, is the force that accelerates us forward? What if fear is the very engine that drives us to achieve what we think is impossible? Think about it for a moment. Every great leader, every inspiring person, every breakthrough moment in history has been fueled by the fear of failure, the fear of the unknown, and yet, those very fears have been the ones that propelled them toward success. We are told, from a young age, to avoid fear. Face your fears, they say, as if fear is something to be vanquished, something to be defeated. But what if fear isn't something to fight against? What if it's something to embrace, to transform, to use as a tool for our own growth? Let me take you deeper into this journey, into the heart of fear. In the next few minutes, we're going to unravel the truth about fear, a truth that might surprise you. It's not the scary, intimidating force we've been led to believe it is. Fear is not here to paralyze us. It's here to guide us, to nudge us when we're playing it too safe, to make us uncomfortable so we can stretch our limits. Think about the times in your life when you've been most afraid. Was it when you faced a challenge that seemed impossible? Was it when you stepped into the unknown, unsure of the outcome? Now, think about what happened after. You pushed through. You faced the fear, took that step forward, and in doing so, you became stronger, more capable, more resilient. Fear is the ultimate paradox. It makes us feel small, yet has the power to make us feel invincible. It stands as the gatekeeper between where we are now and where we could be. It tests our limits, and when we pass through, we come out on the other side stronger than we were before. But here's the catch. Fear only has the power we give it. It's the story we tell ourselves about fear that shapes our experience of it. If we see fear as an enemy, then it will be an enemy. But if we see it as a companion, as a guide, as the force that is leading us toward greatness, then it becomes the very thing that propels us forward. Fear, my friend, is not the enemy. It's the invitation to rise above, to break free from the chains of doubt and hesitation, to push against the very limits we thought we had. It's the spark that ignites the fire of transformation within us. So I ask you again, what is fear? Is it the thing that stops you from living the life you've always dreamed of? Or is it the thing that, when embraced, becomes the catalyst for the most powerful version of yourself? Let me leave you with this thought. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. But what if that fear is the one thing that helps us conquer every other fear we've ever had? What if, just like Mark, we stepped onto that stage of life, heart pounding, hands trembling, but determined to turn our fear into the very fuel that drives us to succeed? The truth is, fear is not here to stop us. It's here to show us who we truly are, what we're truly capable of, and where we are meant to go. With that said, let's dive deeper into this journey and uncover the real power of fear. The journey of understanding fear is just beginning. Stay with me as we explore how fear is not just something to face, but something to embrace. Part 2. The story of courage. Imagine this. A young woman named Sarah, standing on the edge of a cliff, staring out at the vast, endless ocean below. The wind howled in her ears, whipping through her hair, the salt of the sea spraying in her face. Her heart raced, and her palms were slick with sweat. Sarah had dreamed of this moment for years. Skydiving was something she had always wanted to do, a thrill she imagined herself experiencing over and over in her mind. But now that the moment was finally here, all she felt was the sharp, suffocating grip of fear. The cliffs before her seemed to stretch forever, the drop below as dizzying as it was exhilarating. She could hear her heartbeat pounding in her ears, drowning out everything else. Every part of her body screamed at her to turn around, to step back, to leave the safety of the edge. What if the parachute doesn't open? What if something goes wrong? Fear whispered every possible negative outcome into her mind, filling her with doubts and uncertainties. In that moment, Sarah froze. Her hands shook, her legs wobbled, and the overwhelming urge to back out surged within her. But then, something within her shifted. She remembered a lesson from her mentor, a lesson that had always stuck with her. Courage is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to act in spite of it. The words echoed in her mind like a beacon in the storm. Act in spite of it. She had heard those words countless times before, but now they hit her like a thunderclap. The fear was real. The fear was powerful. But it wasn't an enemy. It was simply a feeling. And feelings, no matter how intense, don't have the power to control us unless we let them. In that moment, Sarah made a choice to step into the unknown, a choice to embrace the fear, not as something that would stop her, but as something that would propel her forward. With her heart pounding in her chest, Sarah took a deep breath. Her body screamed for her to stop, to run, to retreat to the safety she knew. But she didn't listen. Instead, she stepped off the cliff. Time seemed to slow as the world tilted beneath her, the sensation of falling all-encompassing. The wind rushed past her, deafening, but at the same time, exhilarating. In that moment, she felt a freedom she never thought possible. The earth beneath her was gone, and yet she was flying. The fear that had gripped her so tightly moments before was now nothing more than a distant whisper, a fleeting memory. As she plummeted through the air, she realized something profound. It wasn't the absence of fear that gave her the courage to take the leap. It was the decision to face it head-on, to let it fuel her, to use it as a catalyst for change. The parachute opened with a loud whoosh, snapping Sarah back to reality. She was floating now, her body weightless, drifting over the ocean like a bird in flight. A new sense of peace washed over her, one she had never experienced before. It was as if the fear had unlocked a new version of herself, a Sarah who was stronger, bolder, and more capable than she had ever thought possible. This is the paradox of fear. It feels like a barrier, something that stands in the way of her dreams. But in reality, it's often the very thing that drives us to achieve the impossible. Without fear, would Sarah have ever taken the leap? Without that raw, powerful emotion gripping her heart, would she have ever felt the freedom that came from stepping into the unknown? We often think of courage as the absence of fear, but in truth, it's the ability to act in spite of it. It's not about waiting for the fear to go away. It's about moving forward even when fear is right there beside you. Fear doesn't disappear when you take action. It's still there, but you've learned how to dance with it. You've learned that it's not a barrier, but a signal, a reminder that you're on the edge of something great, something transformational. Look at Sarah. Her fear didn't vanish, but it didn't stop her. It didn't paralyze her. It pushed her. The leap she took wasn't just a physical one. It was a leap of faith, a leap of courage. And in that moment, as she soared through the air, she knew that fear would never again hold her back. It had become her ally, her teacher, her fuel. This is the heart of courage. It's not about being fearless. It's about being scared, but doing it anyway. It's about knowing that the fear is there for a reason. It's showing you where you need to grow, where you need to break free. The more we face our fears, the more we realize that they are not here to destroy us. They're here to help us become the people we were meant to be. So, let's look at fear differently. Let's see it for what it truly is, a guide. A sign that we're on the verge of something incredible. And every time we act in spite of it, we get one step closer to becoming the people we were always meant to be. And just like Sarah, you too can transform your fears into your greatest source of strength. You too can embrace the fear, make the decision to act, and in doing so, unlock the courage to do the impossible. Because remember, courage isn't about being free from fear. It's about moving forward, even when the fear is there, standing tall by your side. As Sarah's feet touched the ground after her skydiving adventure, her heart still racing, she knew one thing for sure. She was no longer the woman she was before that jump. She had embraced her fear, and in return, her fear had given her a version of herself she never knew existed. The same can happen to you. All it takes is the decision to act, to step into the unknown, to leap into the possibility that fear might be the very thing that opens doors you never thought you could open. And now, as we stand on the edge of our own cliffs, remember this. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to act in spite of it. With that, let's continue this journey and explore just how powerful fear can be when we turn it into the catalyst for our own growth. Part 3. The root of fear. Now, you might be asking yourself, where does fear really come from? Is it just some feeling we experience, or is it something deeper, something that runs through the very fabric of our existence? Well, let's take a deeper dive into this, and I'll reveal something that might completely change the way you think about fear. Fear, in its essence, comes from the unknown. It's a first and most primal source. It's a feeling that sprouts when we're faced with something we can't predict, something that doesn't fit neatly into our understanding of the world. It's that eerie sense when you walk into a dark room and can't see what's lurking in the corners. Your mind races, conjuring images of things that may or may not even exist. That, my friend, is fear. The fear of the unknown, of what could be out there, waiting. Let me take you back to a time when you were a child. Think of those nights when you were lying in bed, your blankets pulled up tight around you, and every creak of the house sounded like footsteps. Maybe it was just the wind, or maybe the house settling. But to you, in that moment, it was much more. You heard the floorboard groan in the hallway, and suddenly, your mind spiraled into a dark abyss of monsters, ghosts, or creatures hiding in the shadows. Your imagination, fueled by fear, painted pictures that didn't exist. But it didn't matter, because fear had already taken hold. That's where it all begins. Fear is the product of our imagination. The way our mind stretches the unknown into something much more terrifying than it truly is. In those moments as a child, it wasn't just the creak in the floorboard that caused fear. It was the stories we told ourselves. The stories we create when we face uncertainty. The unknown that fills us with dread. As we grow older, you would think that fear would dissipate, but it doesn't. Fear doesn't simply vanish with age. It evolves. It matures, becoming far more complex. No longer is it just about the monsters under the bed, but about real, tangible things that have the power to change our lives. It becomes about failure. It becomes about judgment. It becomes about rejection. I want you to think for a moment. Think about the last time you stepped out of your comfort zone, the last time you pushed yourself to do something new, something risky. How did you feel? Nervous? Anxious? Afraid? You see, as we grow older, we learn to fear the judgment of others. We fear what they'll think of us, how they'll see us, whether we'll meet their expectations or fall short. That fear of judgment can stop us in our tracks. It makes us question everything we do, and sometimes it holds us back from living the life we're truly capable of. But then, there's another fear that many of us don't even realize we have. The fear of success itself. Think about that for a second. How many of us get so comfortable in our routine, in our comfort zones, that the idea of change, of stepping into something bigger, feels more terrifying than staying where we are. We fear the unknown path that comes with success, the responsibility, the expectations, the pressure to perform, the idea of reaching the top. And then what? The fear of not being able to sustain it, the fear of losing everything we've worked for. These are the fears that creep in when we start succeeding, when we begin to step out of our comfort zone in ways we've never done before. But here's the question. What if we decided to embrace fear instead of running from it? What if instead of avoiding fear, we looked it right in the face and said, I see you, and I'm still going forward? What if every time fear reared its head, we didn't let it control us, but used it as fuel? What if, instead of feeling small and afraid, we took a step forward with courage, knowing that fear is simply a signal that we are about to do something great? Let me share a story with you about a man named David. David had always been terrified of public speaking. The idea of standing in front of a crowd, all eyes on him, made him freeze up completely. His first attempt at giving a speech was a disaster. His hands shook, his voice cracked, and he could barely make eye contact with anyone. But David was determined to overcome this fear, to break free from the shackles of his own self-doubt. He didn't suddenly wake up one day without fear. No, that didn't happen. What David did was this. He faced his fear again and again. He practiced. He stumbled. He fumbled his words. But he never gave up. With each failure, he learned. And then, one day, after what felt like an eternity of struggling, David gave the best speech of his life. In that moment, he realized something incredibly powerful. Fear had not been the enemy. It had been his teacher. It had been the very thing that propelled him to grow. Each time fear showed up, he grew stronger. Each time he took action in spite of his fear, he broke through another barrier. And in doing so, he transformed fear from a force that held him back to a force that pushed him forward. David's story isn't unique. We all face fear. whether it's the fear of failure, judgment, rejection, or success. Fear is universal. But the difference between those who let fear control them and those who use fear to fuel their growth lies in the choice to embrace it. When we embrace fear, we don't give it power over us. We take that power back. We transform it into the fuel we need to reach new heights, to break through barriers, and to achieve the unimaginable. The root of fear lies in the unknown, the things we can't predict, the things we can't control. But what if, instead of shying away from that unknown, we dove headfirst into it? What if we saw it as the beginning of something amazing, the spark of opportunity waiting to be ignited? The truth is, fear doesn't control us unless we let it. It's a part of our natural instinct, our body's way of telling us that something matters, that something is worth doing. And when we embrace that, when we step into that unknown with courage and confidence, we unlock a version of ourselves that is capable of achieving anything. So, the next time fear tries to hold you back, remember this. Fear is not something to be avoided. It's something to be embraced. Don't let it paralyze you. Don't let it dictate your actions. Instead, look at it, acknowledge it, and then move forward anyway. Because that's where the magic happens. With that said, let's move forward and explore how we can turn fear into the most powerful ally we could ever have. Stay with me as we dive deeper into the transformative power of fear. Part 4. The power of transformation. Fear doesn't define us. How we respond to fear, now that's what truly defines us. Fear comes knocking at all our doors. It doesn't matter how confident or successful we are. Fear is an inevitable part of being human. But what if I told you that fear doesn't need to hold the power? What if we could transform it into something that helps us break barriers, not just survive them? Let me share a story that might just change the way you look at fear forever. I once heard the story of a man named Martin, and his journey is one of the most inspiring tales of transformation I've ever come across. Martin was a quiet, introverted guy, someone who preferred the comfort of his own thoughts and the solitude of books. He was the kind of person who would stand in the background, never seeking the spotlight. But deep inside, he carried a dream that no one knew about. Martin dreamed of being a motivational speaker. He longed to inspire others with his words, to share his experiences and insights in a way that would touch lives and spark change. But there was one problem. He was terrified of public speaking. Every time Martin thought about speaking in front of a crowd, his heart would race uncontrollably, his palms would sweat, and his thoughts would scramble. He felt like he was choking on his own words, as if the entire world was watching and judging his every move. It wasn't just a minor discomfort. It was a full-blown panic. Sound familiar? We've all been there. The fear of being judged, the fear of failure, the fear of putting ourselves out there and not living up to expectations. But one day, Martin had an epiphany, a moment of clarity that changed everything for him. He realized something fundamental. Fear wasn't the real problem. His reaction to fear was. You see, Martin understood something many of us don't. Fear is an unavoidable part of the human experience, but it doesn't have to control us. In fact, it can fuel us. Fear, when approached the right way, can become the very thing that drives us toward greatness. Instead of retreating every time fear knocked at his door, Martin made a bold decision. He decided to use his fear as fuel. He didn't wait for the fear to go away. He learned to move forward despite it. So he started small. He began speaking at local events, in front of small groups, just a handful of people. And with each speech, he felt the fear rise, but he didn't let it stop him. He kept going. He embraced it. The more he spoke, the more he became comfortable with the discomfort. Slowly but surely, the fear that once paralyzed him began to lose its power. He spoke at larger events, in front of bigger crowds. And with each new opportunity, Martin's confidence grew. And as he embraced fear, something miraculous happened. Fear began to lose its grip on him. What once seemed like an insurmountable obstacle was now a stepping stone toward his dream. Eventually, Martin became one of the most sought-after motivational speakers in his field. His voice was heard on stages around the world, inspiring thousands of people to overcome their own fears. Martin's story is a testament to the transformative power of fear. What once held him back became the very thing that propelled him forward. His journey taught him, and it should teach all of us, one of life's most profound lessons. Fear is not a wall, it's a door. And it's up to you whether you walk through it. This is the magic of transformation. Fear, if we allow it, can be the catalyst for the most significant changes in our lives. Fear doesn't have to be a wall that stops us in our tracks. It can be a door that leads us to the next phase of our growth. The question is, are you willing to walk through it? What's holding you back from stepping through your own door of fear? Is it the fear of failure? The fear of judgment? The fear of the unknown? Whatever it is, let me tell you this. Fear is not here to trap you. It's here to help you. It's here to show you where you need to grow, where you need to stretch, and where you need to break free. When we embrace fear and transform it into our ally, we tap into an untapped well of potential. We stop seeing fear as an enemy, and instead, we recognize it for what it truly is, a powerful tool for personal growth. The more we face it, the more we conquer it, and the more we realize that it's not something to fear at all, but something to welcome. Think about the last time you faced fear head-on. Maybe it was giving a presentation, asking someone out, or taking a leap of faith in your career. What did you learn about yourself when you moved forward in spite of the fear? I bet you discovered strengths you never knew you had, courage you didn't realize was within you, and a version of yourself that was more resilient and bold than you ever thought possible. The truth is, fear doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us small. It makes us human. And when we choose to confront it, when we choose to face it with courage, we transform ourselves into people who can handle anything life throws our way. You're not defined by your fear. You're defined by how you respond to it. And when you decide to act despite the fear, you transform that fear into your greatest ally. Let Martin's story remind you that fear is not something to run from. It's something to walk through. It's the thing that will push you to become the person you're meant to be. Fear doesn't define you. Your response to it does. And when you respond with courage, determination, and a willingness to grow, you unlock the full power of transformation. So, the next time fear comes knocking at your door, ask yourself this: am I going to let fear stop me? Or am I going to use it to fuel my transformation? The choice is yours. With that said, let's dive even deeper into the power that lies within fear and how you can continue to use it to drive your success and transformation. Stay with me as we explore the final part of our journey together. Part 5, Fear as the Catalyst for Growth. As we wrap up this journey together, I want you to take a moment and think deeply about this one simple truth. Fear is not here to hold us back. It's not some monstrous force that wants to trap us in a cage. No, fear is here to show us what's possible. It's a signal, a spark that ignites something inside us, an invitation to step beyond the limits we've placed on ourselves, to grow, to expand, and to achieve the unimaginable. Look at it this way. Every time fear shows up in your life, it's not an enemy, but a messenger. It's telling you, this is where you can grow. This is the edge where you can leap into something new. Imagine for a moment that you had never felt fear. Think of all the opportunities you would have missed, all the growth you would have bypassed, all the incredible breakthroughs that would have never happened. Fear is the key that opens the door to that next chapter, the next version of yourself. The next time you feel that familiar, creeping feeling of fear, don't run from it. Don't shrink away or hide. Instead, welcome it with open arms. Ask yourself, what's on the other side of this fear? And then take the leap. Just like Sarah did when she stepped off the cliff, and just like Martin did when he stepped up to the podium. They didn't run from their fears. They faced them. They used their fear as a catalyst for something greater. Think about it. Fear has always been a part of the human experience. From the moment we were born, we faced fear, whether it was the fear of the unknown as a child or the fear of failure as we pursued our goals. But what sets apart those who reach their dreams from those who don't isn't the absence of fear. It's how we choose to respond to it. Fear is an integral part of growth. Every great success story has one thing in common. The person behind it didn't let fear stop them. They didn't wait for fear to magically disappear. No, they decided to rise above it. They understood that fear, when embraced, becomes the fuel that propels you forward, driving you to achieve what you thought was once impossible. The truth is, the greatest achievements in history weren't made by people who were never afraid. Think of the great explorers who sailed into uncharted waters, the inventors who faced countless failures before succeeding, the leaders who stood up against insurmountable odds. These were people who didn't let fear keep them stuck. They decided to face it. They decided to rise above it. They kept moving forward despite the uncertainty, despite the discomfort, despite the doubts. Let's take a moment to reflect on some of the greatest figures in history. People like Nelson Mandela, who spent decades fighting against an oppressive regime, not knowing if he would ever see freedom. Or Thomas Edison, who famously failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. What if they had let fear decide their fate? What if they had listened to the doubts, the criticisms, the voices telling them it was impossible? We wouldn't have the world we live in today. They faced their fears, they pushed through, and they kept moving forward. You see, fear is not a wall to stop you. It's a hurdle to leap over. It's not a reason to quit. It's a reason to push forward, to dig deeper, to find the strength you didn't know you had. The fear of failure, the fear of judgment, the fear of the unknown, they're not obstacles, they're stepping stones. Each time you face fear head-on and keep moving forward, you're building resilience. You're building strength. You're building the foundation for the future you desire. So here's the challenge I leave you with. The next time fear shows up at your doorstep, don't back away. Don't let it dictate your actions. Instead, look at it squarely in the face. Say to yourself, I see you, and I'm not afraid. I will move forward anyway. That's how you change your life. That's how you unlock your true potential. In your journey toward greatness, fear will always be there, lurking in the shadows, trying to make you doubt yourself. But remember, fear is not your enemy. It's your ally. It's the catalyst for your growth. Without it, you would never know how strong you truly are. Every time you push through fear, you break free from the chains of self-doubt and limitation. You unlock new possibilities, new opportunities, and new versions of yourself. So let fear be the force that drives you, not the weight that holds you down. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to take this with you. The path to your dreams will never be free of fear, but that doesn't mean you can't walk it. It doesn't mean you can't run toward it. You're the one who chooses whether fear becomes a barrier or a bridge. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time,